into this video, there are some keywords that I want you guys to know throughout this video. So those keywords are, so now that you guys know those keywords, I'm just gonna get straight into the video. So tip number 1 is that your hair during this period is extremely fragile. So do not by any means do anything to your hair that is going to cause it to just die, basically, is what I'm trying to say. This is a time in which your hair is kind of figuring out, hey, am I this texture or am I this texture? Am I going to work with this product or am I going to work with this product? Am I going to be nice today or am I going to be bad today? Like, your hair is kind of like a 2-year-old child. You know, they're in their terrible twos, and it's very, very important that you just try not to do anything that's going to damage your hair. Tip number 2 is something that I didn't do, which was learn to work with my natural hair. Basically, I say this in all means to necessarily say that when you're transitioning, you need to know how to work with your hair texture, because your roots will be your actual texture, and then you'd have your perm ends that are not your texture. So rather than run away from the situation, I think you should definitely tackle it head on, so that way you know from that point on what hairstyles work for your hair and what hairstyles do not work for your hair. Again, that's something that I didn't do, and I honestly and truly regret not doing that, because now here I am 3.5 years later down the line, and I'm still trying to figure out, well, what styles work on my hair and what styles don't work. And it just becomes very irritating when you don't know. Learn as quickly as possible what can work for your hair and what will not, just so that you can avoid having to be a me and having to deal with this foolishness so far down the line. So tip number 3 is something that I learned because I had to deal with this, which is deep conditioning will become your best friend. Like, literally, I deep conditioned my hair so much for the simple fact that, like, I just did not want my hair to break. Like, for my line of demarcation, I knew that that would be very fragile. I knew that it was an area in which I had to definitely take care of. So I would, like, douse my hair in deep condition, let that thing sit like hours in my hair, then wash it out. And I feel like deep conditioning definitely did help my hair to retain its strength through that period, especially, like I said, on the line of demarcation where your hair is definitely the most fragile. Find a deep condition that works for you, though. Don't just go out and buy a deep condition because your favorite YouTuber said, oh my god, it works. Like, no, that's not how it works. You need to know what works for your hair and what will not work for your hair. Hands down. What works for somebody else may not work for you. Tip number 4 is to learn your hair type, but understand that within your hair you can have various types of textures. There are people who will have the front of your hair may be a 3C, and then towards the back you may get yourself a 4B. Like, understand that that is possible. Understand that your entire head may not be the exact same curl pattern, which means things will work indifferently for your hair. I'm not a hair expert, but like products that I feel like will work on somebody who has like a 3 texture type of hair may not necessarily work on somebody who has a 4 texture type of hair, simply for the fact that you're working with 2 different types of textures. You know, the higher up your number gets, the kinkier and the coilier your curls become. So it's just not going to be the same. Simple. Hands down. It won't be the same, and you will have to deal with that, and you will have to learn how to work with that. You will have to learn how to manipulate both your textures and understand that no matter who says what, every curl on your head is beautiful. Tip number 5 is something that I also, again, had to learn the hard way, which is, yes, protective styling will become another one of your best friends, but be careful in how you use your protective stylings, because it can and it will damage your hair. Now, if edges on my left side before I got this sewing was there. Now when I took that sewing out, I started to realize that, hey, my edges aren't looking exactly the way it was before. Now once I noticed that, I realized, hey, whoa, pump the brakes on the protective styling. It is time to take a break and start learning how to work with your natural hair, which is exactly why earlier in the video I said you guys need to learn how to manipulate and work with your own hair, because once you realize protective stylings are no longer working for you, you will be forced to work with your own hair, and that is simply what it is. So tip number 6 is to take pictures. Now throughout my natural hair journey, I did not take a lot of pictures to see any growth, that I wasn't going to see anything new with my hair, so I thought, like, why am I taking pictures? And on top of that, I think another reason I didn't take pictures was because I was so focused on having my hair protective styling that I didn't take the time to really notice how my hair grew. And for some reason, I feel oftentimes black females, we feel like, oh, well, if we put so many protective stylings in our hair and we take it out, we're going to be happier at the results, because we're going to notice that, wow, my hair really grew. Like, it really grew. Rather than seeing it grow gradually, we're more excited to see it grow in bulk. Definitely take pictures to notice your growth and how much your hair has changed over time. Because something else that they do say is that you will notice when you first start to transition, your curl texture from when you first transition to your curl texture after you have kind of fully transitioned may not be the same, and that is because the chemicals that are in your hair from when you first, you know, started to transition is kind of like your hair is trying to figure out what to do, so it's not reverting back to its original state automatically. It will take time for it to revert. Number 7, it is basically, you do not have to big chop when you notice everybody else around you big chopping. Big chopping is not something that is for everybody. If you want to wait till your curls are hair to big chop, go ahead. If you want to wait till your curls are hair to big chop, by all means do that. It is okay. Just know that when you finally cut off those ends, you will literally feel like a new person. When I clipped off my ends, I felt brand new. I felt revived. And I noticed that my hair started to grow at a quicker rate than it was growing when I still had my permed ends attached. So tip number 8 is to basically try to cut out heat. Where you don't need heat, don't put it. I'm still learning that as I go through my process right now. Now I'm not transitioning, but as somebody who wasn't really sure how to work with their hair through transitioning, now that I'm fully natural, I'm able to try to learn that. So something that I do is I actually just recently brought like the rollers that you would see at the Dominican salons when they, you know, put you under the dryer for over the time you should be under the dryer. Yes, I brought those, and I said something I'm going to start to do if I do want to flat iron my hair, if I just want my hair to be stretched, is I'm going to actually start to section off my hair, put the rollers in, and allow them to air dry and sit overnight, and then the next day work with my hairstyle. Yes, it will take longer. However, it's me cutting out unnecessary heat that my head does not need. Also, don't be flat ironing your hair every 2 weeks thinking you're about to be, you know, straight hair mommy, and you're gonna wet your hair and your curls is gonna bounce back. That will also cause damage. If you want to straighten your hair, I would suggest straightening your hair every 3 to 4 months and trimming your edges. And this is actually an extra tip, so a tip inside of a tip: clip your ends. I did not clip my ends for 3 years. I literally went natural, did not clip my ends. I clipped off the perm, but I did not clip my natural ends until a couple months ago. Tip number 9 is basically pretty much kind of like what I said earlier, which is to just be gentle with your hair, because during this stage it is more prone to breakage than it will be during any other time in your life. Simply because, like I stated earlier, that line of demarcation will definitely mess a sister up, because you will be combing through your hair and then all of a sudden you go like this, and that line, them perm ends will drop right off, honey. And then you sitting on there looking like, well, girl, what did I do? It's nothing that you did. It's just hair can always grow back. If it needs to go, it's gonna go. That's it. We don't care about dead hair. The final tip that I'm going to say is that everybody's hair is different. So what works for your sister, for your mom, for your grandmother, whoever, may not work for you, and you have to be okay with that. You have to learn to not get discouraged and to feel like, well, I can't find anything that's not working for my hair, so I'm over it, like I'm quitting. No. If you YouTube videos, they have videos that talks about like high porosity and low porosity, and then from there you can kind of go down the line and see what products work for the type of hair that you have. Because like I said, somebody might be 4C with low porosity, and they might need certain type of products that somebody who's 4C high porosity might not need. So don't just go based off of what you think you know. Go based off of what you definitely know. It's the same thing as when people go, oh, well, reality versus perception. Just because on YouTube somebody's twist out and braid out is looking A1 bomb one, don't mean your twist out and braid out is going to look A1 bomb one. I know that. This hairstyle was originally supposed to be this beautiful flexi rod set. Honey, I took those flexi rods off the next day. I said, what is this? Took it out, said, you know what, I'm not going to be discouraged. Immediately, the next thing I thought was like, I just want to braid my hair up and I want to put my wig on it. I said, you know what, I'm not going to be discouraged. Took it out, gave myself 2 pom-poms, rocked that for a little bit. Then I hopped in the shower, wet my hair, and I said, you know what, let me try this little high puff look. Call it a day. Something that I noticed that works for my hair texture is Eco Gel. I know that works for me, so that's what I use. Now, also try to use one product at a time when you're trying new products out on your hair, because you just don't want to be in a situation where like you're just putting too much of the wrong thing into your head. If you guys want to hear about my natural hair journey, you guys can look in the description box down below, because I will link my natural hair journey video down there, as well as if you guys want a more detailed video on what products I used while I was transitioning and what products I currently use now that I am fully natural. You guys can comment down below and I will definitely get back to you guys in that video ASAP. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you haters later.